I love how this episode gives us the best lines from Mickey Smith. Surveillance. That's just another way of saying, go sit at the back of the class with this safety scissors and glitter. I'm the man in the manor. I'm the technical support. Oh my god. I'm the tin dog. Come on, I need some help. Alright, you're working. So, I know you have like a drill attachment. We are in a car. Do you have like a lockpick device? We are in a car. Fat little good you are. We are in a car. Wait a second. We're in a car. Well now, hold the coats. Oh, I love it. Hello, Whovians, and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I review the third episode of Series 2 of the new series of Doctor Who, School Reunion, starring David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. So, School Reunion, this is one I've been looking forward to. This is a very nostalgic episode. So, let's get on with it. So, the plot of School Reunion is as follows. Turning my head towards the wiki page. Deathry Vale High School is haunted by strange bat-like creatures at night. When the Doctor investigates, he finds an old friend, Sarah Jane Smith, already working undercover. School Reunion, well, this is a very, very enjoyable episode. This is a fantastic Doctor Who story. I've always loved School Reunion from the minute I saw it. Not only because of its blind nostalgia towards the classic series, but it's also just a really good story in of itself. However, let's get this out of the way first. Sarah Jane Smith, Elizabeth Sladen, she is back, baby. Woohoo! Yes! Elizabeth Sladen is fantastic as Sarah Jane Smith in this one. Rest in peace. We definitely get an insight into how Sarah Jane coped with the Doctor leaving her on Earth after the events of the Hand of Fear, which of course proves to be quite an emotional reunion for her. And there's also some tensions between Rose and Sarah Jane. There's a bit of bitchiness that goes on, but in the end they do get along and they do laugh and joke about the Doctor as well, which was a very funny scene actually. But I really like Elizabeth Sladen, and also the way David Tennant plays the Doctor in this one, because he definitely captures that sense of history that the two characters have had, even though the Doctor looks completely different. He's a different incarnation. However, you still get the same sense of history, and you can see when she looks at him, she's like, wow, this is the same guy. I like the fact that this episode definitely puts the viewers to rest in the fact that this is not a reboot of Doctor Who. This is a continuation, very much continuing after the classic series. It is a revitalization, but they've called it Series 2 for that reason. But School Reunion just proves that this Doctor Who show is connected to the old one. So I really like the fact that it does that by bringing back Sarah Jane. The return of K9. Woohoo! K9, and John Leeson is back to voice K9. Sadly, he doesn't have many lines or many moments in the episode, but it's perfect. It's just perfect. And brilliant when he starts firing his laser at the Krillitanes at the very end of the story. But I also like the fact that Mickey gets quite a bit to do as well. Mickey Smith is now technically part of the TARDIS crew, and he wants to join the Doctor and Rose on their travels, and he's decided, you know what, I want to see what's out there as well. Rose isn't a big fan of that, though. That's one thing I'll say. Why does Rose have to be such a bitch towards Mickey? Like, at the very end, Rose is really snide towards Mickey. I mean, she wants the Doctor all to herself, and she kind of thinks that Mickey is in the way, and that's kind of a running story arc within Series 2, or at least the next few episodes. Mickey Smith is kind of out of place. He doesn't really fit in with the TARDIS crew, but the Doctor allows him to travel with them anyway. And we slowly explore that Mickey is basically neglected by the Doctor and Rose, and that becomes more apparent in the next couple of stories. I like Noel Clarke's performance here, how he's just getting so fed up of basically being told to do nothing. Like, when they come to the school the next day, the Doctor says, Rose and Sarah, go to the maths room and do this and that. I will go and have a word with Mr. Finch. Mickey, surveillance, I want you outside. So, yeah, it's a shame that Mickey's kind of being left out of the picture, really. But more on that in the next couple of reviews. I like David Tennant, as I've said. He's very good in the episode, and he's got some good moments, and it's kind of funny when he's petting the dog, as if he were a real dog. Billie Piper is good as Rose, and there is a good scene when she says, you know, what happens? Am I just the next in a long line of people that just leave? You know, are you going to get rid of me as well? Look about Sarah Jane. You don't even mention her. And there's that iconic moment when David Tennant says, you know, I don't age, I regenerate. Humans decay. You wither and you die. You can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of mine with you. I have to live on alone. It's the curse of the Time Lords. Interesting, obviously, how this will be teasing Rose's exit at the end of the series, but still, it's interesting how we're also seeing how close the Doctor and Rose are, because they are falling in love, and that's definitely apparent, and he doesn't really want to, part of him doesn't want to get so attached, because he knows he can't spend the rest of his life with her, but at the same time, he's falling for her. You know, they are very much getting closer. So it's quite an emotional moment, and also it kind of speaks volumes about how many people the Doctor has lost already, and he's had to deal with that quite a number of times, and he's kind of tired of all of that, really. Sarah Jane coming back kind of brings it all back to him. As for the Krillitanes, I think they're pretty good villains, actually. The CG is a little dated, but I'll forgive it. They are pretty terrifying, the bat creatures, and the opening to the episode is freaky when the headmaster, Mr. Finch, or Brother Lasser, as his proper name is, he sees the student sitting by his office, and he says, come inside. It's nearly time for lunch. And then he basically eats her. We don't see that happen. We don't see like a grotesque moment when he's eating her, but we do hear her scream, and he turns into his true form, and he does eat her from behind the door. So that's pretty scary. It's also quite a funny episode. I quite like it when the Doctor is being a teacher. It would come very naturally to him, wouldn't it? Rose is a dinner lady, which is kind of funny, and Mickey's investigating on the computer, and we see that Torchwood have blocked some classified files. So, like I've said in the previous review, Torchwood is becoming a very prominent theme. Much like how the Bad Wolf thing was a part of Series 1 with Christopher Eccleston, in this series, Torchwood, with David Tennant, that's going to become apparent towards the end of the series. So Russell is dropping these little hints here and there. I think Murray Gold's music is also very good. It's a bit repetitive in places, but I do quite like it. One thing I will say, which always puzzled me about this episode, is that school kid. I think his name's Kenny, the one who says he can't eat chips, the spiky-haired fella. He seems to just be in the story, and then he's kind of not in the story. I don't know why he's in it. I mean, I guess someone for the younger audience to relate to, maybe, but he doesn't seem to have much involvement in the climax of the story. Like, we follow him, and we discover that he knows about the teachers turning into bats, and yet we don't see him then till the end, when he goes to get Mickey, and Mickey drives through the front door of the school. And then he joins the Doctor and the gang, and no one ever talks to him. Like, he's just there. Like, why is he in it? And then he takes the credit for blowing up the school. So, why doesn't this kid get involved in the story, like, more promptly? He's just kind of there, but he's not there. I don't know, it's just really weird to me. Like, I don't understand his importance in the story, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Speaking of that scene with the car, it is kind of funny when Mickey turns on K9, and he's like, oh, fat little good you are, and K9 keeps saying, we're in a car. Bless Mickey, he didn't have much of an education, but he is a decent guy. And the climax is thrilling when the bats are chasing them around the school, and then obviously K9 very powerfully sacrifices himself to kill the Krillitanes. So, yeah, and that's very sad, actually. That's quite a poignant moment when he blows up the containers of oil, because we discover that the Krillitane oil is actually toxic to them, which is why they put the oil on the chips and get the children to eat the chips, so then the children can crack this stasis paradigm, the building blocks of the universe. So the Krillitanes want to take control of the universe, but through the eyes of the children who are in the school. So I think the plot is very clever and very well written by Toby Whithouse. Like I said, my only real issues, they're like two minor issues. Like I said, Rose is a bit too bitchy towards Mickey at the very end, and also that school kid, Kenny, he has no place in the story whatsoever. He's just like any old kid, really. Like, yeah. And the final scenes with the Doctor and Sarah Jane are lovely, when he says goodbye to her, and she also says to Rose, stay with him. Some things are worth getting your heart broken for. Don't know if that was the right thing to say, but okay, I guess it's worth it. I mean, you know, again, teasing the end of the series with Rose's exit, but I love that last moment when he says, goodbye, My Sarah Jane. Absolutely lovely and brilliant stuff, and it's very nostalgic, especially for fans of the classic era. So overall, I'm going to give School Reunion a 10 out of 10. Thank you very much all for watching this review, and stay tuned next time when I review The Girl in the Fireplace. So until then, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.